Now I know this video took longer than expected to come out, and that was for various reasons, but I just want to say thank you so much for getting my Dragon Age Origins video to 700 views. Despite its bad quality, you guys still showed love and got it to 700, so thank you so much. But man, we are here for Dragon Age 2 review, and I don't really want this to feel like a review. Just more me giving my experiences, telling you about my choices and giving my thinking and making you guys upset and rude to me in the comments pretty much. Now that intro song was actually supposed to be for Dragon Age Origins, because it's actually really hard to keep everyone happy in Dragon Age Origins. But in this game, in Dragon Age 2, it's a lot easier to make characters happy. It's just that the game doesn't really make you too happy. After my amazing experience with Dragon Age Origins, damn near calling it one of the greatest games I've ever played despite its many faults, Dragon Age 2 kind of pops out like a deformed little brother that was kind of born without a brain. Dragon Age 2 is such a disappointing game compared to Dragon Age Origins, and I'm sure you guys know this already, but I'm definitely going to get into my opinions as to why I feel that way. I'm going to try my absolute best for me not to compare the game, but no promises though. But just because it's a disappointment doesn't mean it's a bad game, because believe me, there were times where this game actually made me very happy and had me very impressed. So let's start the same way I did last time. If you couldn't tell, I am a black man. So how's the customization this time around in Dragon Age 2? Well, I spent a significantly less amount of time in the customization menu. And that's mainly because there's just like a lot less there. You can't choose your race, and you can't choose where you came from. There's no backstory. You can't really pick your voice, your tone of voice like you did in the first game. And I kind of thought that was, just interesting. I was like, okay. The most you could do was probably just pick a gender and pick what class you wanted to do. Now, if you think that would have made me concerned or upset, no. My first thought was, hold up a second. Why am I doing this again? Did my save not carry over? Did my save corrupt? Where's my silvers? Where's my weird looking character silvers? And then it occurred to me, I am no longer playing the same person.
Nice.
Yes, the customization was bare bones compared to the first one, but I kind of just didn't care. I want my silvers. Why did they change from my silvers? BioWare, what the f? So I was thoroughly hurt by this. If you don't know, I'm playing these games and I don't have a single clue about the series. I haven't done any research and I'm sticking to the choices. Every choice I make in these games, I'm sticking to it, even if it's a mistake. It's my rule for this video series. So I had no idea that my main character was gone. I'm hoping to see her again in Inquisition, but what's the likelihood of that now? But none of that mattered anyway, because the reason why this video took so long is because I was 10 hours in and I accidentally deleted my save. I cleared up my documents folder and for some reason the Dragon Age save file was in the D drive, but the game was in the C drive, and if you have a PC you know exactly what I'm talking about. From the beginning this game just had me in pain, and yeah, I had to prevail through because I really wanted to give you guys a good video. And this game felt a lot shorter than Dragon Age Origins, but it also felt a lot longer, but we'll get into that. So after wrapping my head around the fact that my Silver's main character is pretty much gone and it's pretty much dead, I made a new character, a male Hawk, and this time I was going for a mage. I really wanted to be an elf mage to make the world hate me, but no, you can't do that here, you can't do that here. So a human mage I was. So as I said, I lost the character, which wasn't a big deal, but the issue was that I lost my Dragon Age 2 save, which means I lost my Dragon Age Origins save. So I told my friends about this issue and they brought me to a tool, a really cool tool that the modding community had made. I think it was called like Dragon Age Origins Save Editor. Now this is crazy. This is like a editing for your save, and what this does is create a save game for you and lets you pick what kind of saves you want. The program will ask you what choices you made, what options you pick, and in doing this, I got a sneak peek into what choices I could have made in Dragon Age Origins, and bro was just flabbergasted. Once again, I was blown away by the amount of things I could have done differently in Dragon Age Origins. I could have killed Liliana, and Anders was in Dragon Age Origins. I honestly had no idea, like I completely missed them. So if you want to play Dragon Age 2 and maybe you just don't want to play Dragon Age Origins because maybe it's just too old or you can't be bothered to go through it, this little program is here for you. Or maybe you just, you have a decision that you regret. This is here. I kept everything the same though. We're sticking to our choices. That is the rule. Side note, as I was like looking for this program, it brought me to the mods page on the Nexus Mods. Again, if you PC, you know what I'm talking about. And I saw all the mods for Dragon Age Origins. And I find it hilarious that one of the highest downloaded mods was skipping the dream section. I am so glad I'm not the only one who hates that section. That actually gave me a good laugh. I hate it. I hate that section so much. It's still my nightmares, bro. So the story starts. So I'll be honest, the way it started was actually really cool. I was super excited to see where the story was going to go. We saw Flemeth early into the game, and I thought instantly like we'd be seeing her a lot. And maybe we'd end up working for her. Maybe she'd probably be the game's villain throughout the game. She'd probably be the masterminds pulling all the strings and telling on your choices, you know, that kind of stuff. It will affect all of that. But no, that's not really how it goes. For the most part, the game story just feels like a slice of life, a Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm gonna get into it. For the most part of the game, there's no big threat. There's no end of the world situation. There's no main villain. There's no wild hunt to kill your stepdaughter. Your main character, Hawk, is kind of, well, existing. Not just existing, but like he's just like a regular mercenary. You're here, you're watching. You've probably played the game already, so I don't really need to break it down in detail too much for you, but Hawk just feels like a regular guy in the world of Dragon Age. And things just seem to happen to him and his friends. Like Ichigo from Bleach. Somehow I just managed to add anime in there. I'm such a nerd, man. But he didn't feel like the old character Silvers, the Dragon Age Origins main. Dragon Age Origins main just felt like a boss. Hawk kind of just feels like, hey, I'm just, you know. He finds himself in a situation and, you know, it being up to you, you decide whether you want to help or not. And it's that simple. And do I like this? Well, kinda. I don't mind it. I think it's a different way to approach a game. I can't say I loved or hate Hawk by the end of the game. I kind of just felt neutral about him throughout the game. Believe me when I say I do really miss my old character Silvers. I really miss her. If you saw my Dragon Age Origins video, then you know this game did something that I'm not the biggest fan of, which is a voice RPG, a voice for your RPG main character. And the dialogue wheel, this thing, yeah, it's complete ass. In Dragon Age 2, it kind of does it in the worst way possible. It's either you're nice, sarcastic, or a complete dickhead, and every now and again you can investigate the situation further. But the way it's worded, there are so many times where I clicked something and screamed out, that's not what I meant. There's been times where I clicked something and thought, yeah, that sounded really cool, but the game was like, nah, that was actually some arsehole. And I'm kind of just sitting there like, what did I do wrong?
You and I have nothing in common anymore. You're a champion, and I'm just a lying, thieving snake.
You're just afraid of being anything else.
I don't know how to be anything else.
Rubbish. Stop making excuses for yourself. You're a better person than you think.
Fine, Hawk. You're probably right about that too. Tell you what, I'll be here if you need me.
I heard they're all underground, in the deep roads.
Pretty much from early, the game kind of tells you what the good options is, what the bad option is, and even if the bad option is something that you actually want to say, it kind of still just comes across mean and rude, even though you don't really want it to be. Another issue with the dialogue wheel is Hawk's voice tone. Whenever you say something mean, it sounds, you know, mean, but when you say something nice straight after, he just sounds so pleasant, and it makes it so unnatural. Like Hawk would call someone, I don't know, like a dirty mage 1 second, and then afterwards, he'd be like, oh, I appreciate the help. Thank you so much. I'll be back soon to help you out. It's very strange. But like I said, neutral, because the game does a good job of giving Hawk purpose. Even though there's no big threat, no big villain for most of the game does a great job of giving Hawk motivation, and that's family. Hawk, our man Hawk, is a family man. And I think this is the first time, maybe ever, where the main character's main motivator is just looking after his family. There are plenty of main characters where they care about a lot of people that they love, but there's always something going on outside in the world, where it's like a zombie apocalypse, world's got world-ending demons, or they're trying to save the galaxy from evil alien machines. Or maybe it's just your duty to do so. With Dragon Age 2, there's not a lot going on. He just wants to protect his family and kind of slowly turns into this guy that wants to protect this city. And you know what? I really like this. So after Hawk's mother died, which I think was my fault, we'll get into, I thought that was the best moment throughout the game, because I knew that we were in this city because of her, really. We were doing all of this to make sure that our family, our brother and mother, was good. But that's pretty much it when it comes to Hawk. Just neutral. He's serviceable, a character that gets you from A to B. Alright. So like the first one, the main story isn't exactly the reason why you're playing, or why you would be interested in this game in the first place. It's the RPG, baby, the companions, the choices. Last time I broke down the characters one by one, but I just talk to them as a group to keep the video flowing better. When I do watch that Dragon Age Origins video, I definitely wish I sped that part up. But look at me, I'm growing, growth. The companions will then lead me to talk about the game's story, because that's one thing this game does well, is keeping the story and the companions closely together. What's annoying about the companions this time around is that you pretty much meet all of them at the beginning of the game, or so I think. because I don't know if I'd missed anyone out. But you definitely meet the majority, so later on in the game, there's no one really new to look forward to, which is kind of disappointing. I kind of wish it scattered them out a little bit more. I went into detail how immersive the companions and the characters around the map made the game feel like a great experience. They felt real, they felt true, they were written so amazingly. But here in Dragon Age 2, I only liked one character. And even if the one I did like, he wasn't too great himself, he was cool, he was okay, but it just isn't the same here. The writing for these characters are nowhere near as good as they were in Dragon Age Origins. But as I said, I don't want to compare them too much. Let's not do that. But in general, the writing for these characters, they don't really do too much for me, not in the slightest. Character designs, personalities, their motivators. I kind of forgot why they were traveling with me in the first place. I guess they just liked hawks. Because I never really felt connected to any of these characters. I could never really go and talk to them unless the game wanted me to talk to them. I couldn't click on them and ask how everything was. Ask them how they were feeling about the situation we were currently in. They all just felt like dead and shallow AI. It's so unfortunate. Every now and again a character would come visit you in your home, which was cool, but it always felt awkward because you couldn't make much conversation with them. They'd say 2 lines to you and then completely disappear. I just didn't see the point of that. Meryl had a really cool design, but for the most of the game, she's a naive little girl. She gets small little character arc, which isn't bad, but I just think it wasn't enough. But she honestly was one of the better ones out there. Anders I completely missed in Dragon Age Origins, and if I'm judging him off this game, I'm kind of glad I did. I don't like Anders. Isabella kind of just pissed me off quite a bit. She has character, but she really annoyed the hell out of me. Just a bit of a dunce, just super immature, backstabs you twice, and I get she's a parrot, but oh boy did I kind of want to kill her by the end of the game. Aveline is just kind of miserable throughout the whole thing. Every time she's with the squad in the city, she's kind of just mean and just makes rude remarks to everyone. And she's a straight fed too, like she's just a straight police, like we don't trust the police, you know what I mean? And don't even get me started on Carver. To be fair, given my choices, he ended up being okay in the end. Are they badly written? Nah, not really, but none of them were interesting enough to make me care. They were just there. Just not much character and personality. Like I feel like you could write a whole essay video about the Origins characters. Here though, I'd struggle if I had to. I know, I shouldn't compare, but guys, I just can't help. Even when they're with you in the city, the conversations between them just sound like lines from a Marvel movie. Or maybe it's not the lines, maybe it's just the characters, I don't know. But it really doesn't help. I just roll my eyes when I hear some of these conversations. The tone of the game has just been like lightened. It would be fine if the situation you were in didn't seem dire sometimes. Hawk's sarcastic option is like the dumbest thing in the game to me.
I am the greatest of my kind. Whatever tricks your little pet has taught you will pale in comparison.
All right, when he puts it that way.
It just doesn't fit. I just don't think the sarcastic option should be an option in any game. So I really wanted to like them. I really wanted to go and just have a long conversation with them, ask them about their upbringing, what motivates them, ask them why they chose to stick around. You know, really get into their ideology, but you can't.
Thing for me. Draw your blade and bring it gently across your throat.
I will not be toyed with.
How did you... Oh, shit. Spare me, Monsieur.
You're just too dangerous. You have to die.
I was putting off some of these companion missions for a while because I just didn't really care. But that's one of the things that the game actually does well. Some of the companion missions tie up well with the story to the point where I think the companion missions actually should have just been the main missions. Don't ignore the companion missions because they actually add some context to some of the loose ends in the story. I didn't actually speak about the character that I did like, and it was Varric. It might be because he's pretty much the character you're with the longest and you're the one he sees the most, or the one you see the most. But I liked his character. His brother betrayed us in the story, and through the companion mission, we kind of get a conclusion on that story arc. He's the most friendly one. His character's tone, it's still a little light sometimes, like he has humor in moments where it shouldn't be humor, but that's pretty much the whole game. So Varric, I really hope I get to see you in Inquisition. He was a cool character. I did like him. These guys here were the main squads though. Look at these guys. They look cool. The voice actors for the characters were fine. Again, not the biggest fan of the dialogue that was happening for most of the game. But after a while, I just enjoyed it for what it was. One thing I did like about the game was the art style. Graphically, the game looks a lot nicer than Dragon Age Origins, but the art style actually helps it go a long way. It actually makes it look decent by today's standards. It's like realistic with a cartoony look to it. It's kind of hard to explain, but it seems like they didn't really go for an ultra realistic approach at the time. So it actually looks pretty nice. I like the look of it. And again, I want to go down a list of all the good things I want to say about this game, but every time I say something good, I always kind of have to have a but. there's this issue, or but there's that issue. But I'm gonna do my best. Like, the locations are nicely designed and there's multiple locations, but you see them an awful lot. Like, I went to the same place multiple times, and the exciting thing of traveling to new areas kind of just wears off very quickly. And getting around the map, it kind of takes some time to get used to. Why is the map UI more weirder than the first game? So that's the quality of life things out of the way. Now that you can get to the gameplay and the choices, the most exciting part that we are waiting for. The gameplay is a lot better because the AI actually works a lot smarter for the most part, and the UI is definitely a lot more clearer, but for whatever reason, I find myself getting really irritated about the padding in this game, and I'll get into that in a moment. The beauty of the gameplay of Origins was the technicalness, if that's a word. The fights start and you already have an idea of what you need to do to win this battle. You heal certain points, you use magic at certain points, you use your head at certain points, you're being smart, you're figuring out ways to win this battle. I'm going to use magic here, I'm going to use healing here, etc, etc. What makes the gameplay annoying here in Dragon Age 2 is enemies popping out when you think you're done. To me, that kind of defeats the purpose of the technical gameplay that the game sets up. And that's mainly due to the lack of knowledge about the fighting. You end up losing, which is fine, I don't mind losing, that's cool. But then when you reload the save and do it again, then boom, you kind of do it like nothing, only because you know that there's going to be a second wave of enemies that's going to pop out on you. And to me, that isn't really challenging. You only lost because the game misled you to believe that there's only a one wave of enemies. And I just wasn't the biggest fan of that. The game doesn't make you do a good job of feeling like a gamer, intelligently satisfied, if I can say it. I might be making up words, but you get what I'm trying to say. There's a boss here, like this boss right here. This is the first time where I actually feel like I had to use my head and didn't just feel like a complete point and click. I actually liked this one. The only time the game gets difficult was when the game kind of just threw hundreds of enemies at you. And again, it never feels like I'm using my head. It just felt like maybe I was just under-leveled. Perhaps putting the difficulty up could have helped, but personally, I don't think that's the case here. But of course, you, the comments section, you guys, you can let me know if that is the case here. And it's fortunate too, because after 15 hours or so, the game threw fights at you and I just could not be bothered. The game was throwing fights in there just to slow you down. Something that I call padding. Dragon Age 2, despite its issues, it's still very impressive. Of course, I was curious to see as to why this game felt a lot more bare bones, why it just felt a tad more shallow, why it just didn't feel as close as it did with Dragon Age Origins. And my friend Fox told me Dragon Age 2 was actually made in 14 months. EA had brought Bayer at some point through the development of Origins, or afterwards, I can't remember. But after EA saw the success of Origins, they basically wanted a new game ASAP. And 2 was supposed to be meant to be DLC for Origins. So this game, despite its flaws, was made in 14 months. Give BioWare a round of applause, man. Because yes, I've been hard on the game, but the game still has like a lot of nice ideas and really cool stuff about it. So let's get into them choices. Now at this point in time, I've seen the Dragon Age Keep because I am about to start Dragon Age Inquisition, which I've heard was a lot better received. So I've seen how things could have gone down in 2. And this game feels a lot more political than the end of the world, save the world scenario. As I mentioned, I like this a lot. The first major choice that I found difficult was Carver. I hated Carver. Carver and the uncle was honestly one of the worst characters throughout this series so far. I hated both of these dudes. They were just miserable, horrible people, and I really just wanted to kill him from soon the moment I saw him. And I really wanted to like Carver earlier on in the game, but he's just annoying. But when it came to whether bringing Carver to the expedition or made him stay with the mother, I made Carver stay with the mother. Now, it wasn't because I disliked Carver, it was more because I actually liked the mother. And I saw Hawk, the Hawk that I had in mind, the Hawk that I was playing, really cared for his mother. I felt like it made more sense to his character just to do his mother's wishes. So this leads Carver to become a Templar. I was super excited when that happened, but unfortunately, it kind of amounts to absolutely nothing. I thought maybe Carver would try to kill me because I was a mage, but no, you kind of don't see him till the end of Act 3, which is really super disappointing. I kind of wish they could have did more with that one. Second choice, I really struggled with this one. This was the guy that was investigating all the murderings with all the women in the city, and I think I messed up because I killed him. I'm assuming if I let him live, the mother wouldn't have died. I haven't looked into this as of yet, but I saw in Dragon Age Keep that you can keep the mother around for longer and even seeing her get killed by mirror death, so I definitely messed up on that one. I regret that one entirely. Canary, I was pretty much on the Canary side. I was like rooting for peace, but I really felt like the boss, big boss Canary, I can't remember his name. I feel like he was making a lot of good points. I agreed with him more than disagreed with him. And when it came to Isabella, I just couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. Sus, I had to do what I had to do. I also hated this boss fight. I really hate this boss fight. It's not a good boss fight, especially if you're a mage. And the last major choice I really struggled with was, of course, the mages versus the Templar. Anders, you doomed all the mages, mate. You doomed all the mages, mate. You blew up a building, mate. Why did you do that, mate? Really cool scene, though. Really cool scene. I sided with the Templars, which I now know doesn't matter because you end up fighting Meredith anyway and can even kill your mother. So again, it really feels like some of the choices don't really matter too much. But I did try and spare the mages wherever I could. But from memory, those are the choices that had me stumped for a bit. And just choices that I really had to think about. Otherwise, most of the other choices I was fine with. None of them really had me stressed out, like completely stuck for a moment, like, ooh. But yeah, when it comes to Bioware, they just make really cool looking games in such like little time. But I think that is everything. Dragon Age 2 has been disappointing to say the least, but the fact that they made it under damn near a year, it's actually kind of impressive. But I'm just judging it off from what I played. I'm judging it off comparing it to the first one. I'm judging it off by a game by itself. I've spoken to people who said that this was their first Dragon Age and they thought the game was cool. Then they went back to Origins and realized, oh yeah, 2 is not that great compared to Origins. So by a game by itself, I think I'd give it a 7. I think it's a standard solid game. I think I'd give it a 7. I think I'd say it's a good game by itself. But knowing what beauty that Origins has brought to the table already, it definitely falls short, and it kind of makes me want to give it a 5 out of 10, which is unfortunate. But I'm glad I played it. I don't know if I'd ever play it again. I just wasn't that crazy about it. But I'm glad I played it. This has been edited by Silvers. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.